So the next video, what we're going to be covering is the floor, getting the floor sealed. So pressure washed out the floor, and like I said in previous videos, pretty amazing. I don't have any rust holes or anything on the floor. It's just surface rust. So pressure washed it out. I need to go over with a wire brush, vacuum it. But first project today is getting the pedals out, rebuild the pedals. They're pretty gunked up with corrosion. So the first thing you need to do to remove the pedals is come back to the transmission, and you'll see the clutch cable right here and a butterfly nut on the end. So you need to take this butterfly nut off of the clutch cable, because when you pull the pedals out of the front, there's like an eye hook on the clutch pedal, and that's going to need some slack, so it's going to pull it in from your clutch. Next thing is to take and pull the gas pedal back and take the wire off of the gas pedal shaft, which is right here. But as you can see, my gas pedal's gone. This is all corroded, and looks like somebody just took and looped a piece of wire through here. And after that, we're gonna move this spring forward right here and take it off of the pin that attaches the master cylinder brake rod to the pedal, and the spring actually acts as a keeper pin on there. So you're going to get the top part of this and just knock it off. We'll take the two bolts off and then pull the pedal assembly out of the transmission tunnel. Man, take a look at these pedals. It's all crusted, but I guess the main base is magnesium or aluminum of some sort. But man, is this thing corroded. I do have a rebuild kit for it, but I have to figure out how I'm gonna press this thing apart, get the pin out, and just go at it. So might be time for PB Blaster. And here's a set screw, or a set pin that's driven in here. I'll get a view of that right there on the corner of my thumb. And typically what you do is you press this out through one side. The clutch cable or clutch pedal comes off the shaft, and then the shaft comes out through the center of this guy and is attached to the eye hook for the clutch cable. So that's going to be a bear to get that pin out of there, I'm sure. But the car has 11,000 miles on it, and some people think maybe it turned over 100,000, and it's actually 111,000. But a good indicator is right here on the clutch cable eyelet, where it connects onto the cable. And typically what happens is this is all worn out when you have a Volkswagen Beetle or Carnegie, any of the Volkswagens, that will be eaten away in just a thin piece of metal. And sometimes even these eyes break off. So if you look at my Super Beetle conversion, my Tesla conversion I'm doing, when I pulled this out, and that car had about 45,000 miles, and this was down to about 1/8 of an inch. So an easy solution is just to MIG weld more metal in there, grind it flat, nice, and then put some grease on there before you put it back in again. But again, this thing looks like brand new, like it's never been used, hardly. But another good indicator that the car only has 11,000 miles on it. Well, let's just check out this Seal rust converter. Man, look at that. Just turned everything black. So that'll never rust again, man. That is looking really nice. So it's about 100 degrees out today, extremely hot. I'm gonna give this all night to dry really good and hard. And then tomorrow I think I'm gonna paint the floor black. And then also I was able to do up in the nose of it too, get all that rust converted after I cleaned it and wire brushed it. So, and I hit the gas tank and just a couple spots. Looks like somebody chopped holes for speakers here. So I think I'm going to go on eBay and order some 5-inch, looks like 5-inch marine speakers for a boat, because this is a convertible, it's going to be outside, and then I'll get a marine radio for it. So anyway, looking good. Alright, today's project, the fun one, is to clean the underside of the pan. I already pressure washed it, so I'll just knock some of the loose stuff off. And then the same thing, use my rust converter on it and get it cleaned up. And what I like for these flat areas is to use a barbecue grill cleaner. And I think I got this at our local farm and supply store, Traeger maybe. But I think they have them at Home Depot. But it gives you a nice flat surface for really knocking some of the rust off. Saves a lot of time. And then naturally I have my hand brush, and then the brush on the drill, and then my trusty old Craftsman screwdriver. So let's get to it. Last night I pulled out the gas tank, laying on the floor. Amazing shape, but again, this car's only got 11,000 miles. I looked inside, and little or no dinosaur dust from the dried up gasoline inside, and I did find some pebbles. I guess some kids may have thrown pebbles into the gas tank, so dump those out. But I'm in good shape, just cleaned it up and painted it. But when you take out the gas tank, just 4 bolts right here, here, and here. The beetles are the same. It gives you access to every crusty thing down in here. Steering column, the master cylinder, the steering shock, which I have a brand new one of those. I think the next step is I'm going to wheel this out, get the rest of this painted up in here with primer, rust reformer, Rust-Oleum primer. And then pressure wash this whole thing. I'm going to replace everything to do with the brakes. So I'll chop out all the brake lines, make new ones out of Nycop. I have nickel copper 3/16" brake line. It all just flare tips, and replace everything. These are the hoses from the master cylinder down in here, which I also have a brand new master cylinder. And then new brake switches. Here's your brake light switches right here. They have 2 of them. That plug on, so those just unplug. Pretty simple, but it's all crusty. And then these are the 2 lines to the brake reservoir bottle. So the Volkswagen thing is kind of strange, is that you fill the brake fluid up while you're inside the trunk or the hood, and then on the inside of the car, has the reservoir right there, which you see is all cracked. So I'm going to chop all that out. I have a new bottle, get the rest of this painted up in here, but looking pretty good. The rest of the floor up on the bottom underneath is sealed with core seal and then painted. Whole back end now is painted, overexposed. The camera here with the light from the garage and the sun coming in, but get the rest of this painted up. And I think my next project is I'm just going to go ahead and tackle the brakes before I mess with the transmission, just replace all the brakes. I do have a disc brake conversion, which will be later in this video, to do on the front end, which really is incredible stopping power once you put the disc brake conversion on. And then I have new master cylinder, as I mentioned. I have the new brake cylinders, back shoes. I'll totally rebuild the brake drums in the back. So I will keep the drums in the back and then do the disc brake conversion in the front. Let's get that crusty master cylinder out of here. So on the other side, the firewall side, the side of the car, there are two 13mm bolts that I'll take out. So anyway, a lot of bolts on this car are 13mm. In a pinch in the 70s when I was working on bugs, if I didn't have a whole lot of metric tools, but you might try a 1/2 inch. It's about the same. Digging into the steering column and some of the other stuff here, but right here there's a flex disc that's in the steering column, and it's a 1974 thing, and I noticed some cracks right in the disc here. So anyway, went to my local VW shop, and for I think it was like 15 bucks, you can get a brand new disc, and it's the isolator disc that goes in between the steering column and the shaft to the steering box itself. So real simple to replace. Just pop out 4 bolts, put the new one in, tighten them back down, and you're good to go for another 40 years or so. Also, on this disc, when you're replacing it, putting this new one on, there's a ground wire that goes from one side to the other, because you're isolated ground-wise with the rubber. So if you want your horn to work and some other functionality inside the steering wheel, you need this ground wire that'll ground the chassis to the steering column. Don't forget that little jumper.